1 in 6 people in America suffer from astigmatism. 1 in 3 suffer from myopia, commonly known as nearsightedness, including me. 1 in 3 women in America will suffer from domestic violence of some kind in their lifetime. That kind of puts it into perspective, doesn't it? In America, the same percentage of women will suffer as victims of domestic violence in their lifetimes as people are nearsighted. A large majority, well over 80% of all violence is created by men. When looking at rape, specifically, 99% is created by men. That's 99% of rape. Let's talk about sports for a second, specifically hockey. If a fight breaks out in the rink, what happens? Well, some punches are thrown, ref breaks it up. Some people might get penalized, no big, right? Now, let's think about a wrestling match. If a fight breaks out during a match, what happens? It's all part of the entertainment. In fact, fights are expected. Now, think about this. Think about the name of one of the wrestling entertainment shows, Friday Night SmackDown. Now, is that not violent? How about an action movie? Let's talk about Indiana Jones. So, Dr. Jones is over there feeling threatened by one of the movie's action, or during one of the movie's action sequences, let's say a Nazi, because he's always fighting the Nazis for some reason. Okay, and he kills the enemy. Is he condemned by the audience for committing such a heinous act of violence? No, of course not. In fact, he's praised in the movie and by the audience as a hero. He is the strong, independent protagonist who is in control. He is a real man. After all, it's only entertainment, right? Now, adults are not the only people seeing these images. As children, we learn about the world and how to live in it by the process called socialization. And socialization basically is that we consume from family, friends, our community, and the media how we construct knowledge, our sense and place in society. Socialization is a constant. We are constantly learning throughout life. These influences have a deep effect on who we are, how we act, how we think and feel, even behave, believe. What then are we teaching as a society to our children, specifically boys? We are telling them that men should be strong, men should be tough and unemotional except for anger, to show no weakness whatsoever, to be independent, extremely promiscuous, and above all, always in control. All these characteristics fit into what we call the man box. That is the way society frames masculinity. That's how it defines it. How about girls? They are told by society to be dependent, meek, to be sexy but not sexual. Think about the term slut, prude. To be emotional, and all around the weaker sex. If women do not fit into this box of femininity, just like the box of masculinity, they are harshly condemned for their audacity to be different than their gender role. For males, this box is just as tight or tighter. If men do not fit into the man box in any form and show any weakness, which, by the way, is the characteristics of a man, of what a man is supposed to be, then they are immediately forced to the level of a woman or someone who is gay, both considered far more inferior. If a man is told all his life he must fit into the man box and he is faced with not fitting in, would he not be frustrated? Anger is a secondary emotion. Though it can come from several sources, commonly it stems from frustration and or stress. It can be direct, indirect, or both in creation and in effect. Men who become frustrated at their inability to live up to the unrealistic expectations of masculinity feel a lack of control over themselves, hence the word control. Without being given tools to deal with their frustration in a positive way, male anger can be turned outward. It can be turned outward into forces that they feel they can control and be powerful over. Once again, the word control. By yelling? Sure. If that doesn't work, then physical force? Sure. If that doesn't work, then by killing. That is called using the ladder of escalating violence. Basically, if they use a version of violence to use power and control over somebody else, and it works, then they keep using that. If they yell, and then the woman cowers, they keep using that. If that doesn't work anymore, you start to push. Then you start to punch. Then you start stabbing. Why do men use violence? Because it works. Now, not all men are violent. But if a majority of violence is created by men, why then are not all men violent? Because they choose not to be. And because they're human beings and they have choice. What can we do about all this? What can we do about all this violence, all this craziness, all this death going on in the world? What can we do? Nothing? No. We take accountability for our actions, for personal and external actions, for our thoughts. For sexism is not okay. Just period. And any discrimination in any form is never okay. We need to look at our language, how we're speaking. If we are thinking of a sexist joke, or if we are thinking that some kind of joke about, say, women being weaker, or we hear that, we need to be speaking out about that. We need to call people out about that. There must be a social change from the micro level to the macro level, from ourselves to the larger level. Society is made up of us. We make up society. Every single one of you out there make up society. Every single one of you need to educate yourself and stand up and speak out. Every one of you. Now, what can men do to better work with women, men, and themselves? First, they need to acknowledge the fact that women are people, just like they are. They are human beings. Everybody gets too caught up in the biological, in men and women, in the dichotomy of black and white. That is not who we are. We are human beings, and we need to acknowledge that. Second, we need to listen to women. For thousands of years, men have been the oppressors, and women have been the oppressed. Men are also over 100 years behind women regarding the struggle for equality. Get over yourself. It is time to listen to what women have to say. Third, if you want power and control, exert it over yourself and choose not to hurt anyone. No one can make that choice for you. You need to make that.